Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. Hey everyone, as you mentioned, my name is Rado. I'm the head of validation for Open Forest Protocol. As a project, we started 4 years ago, and we're a platform designed to help reforestation and restoration projects measure, report, and verify the carbon they're storing or reducing. We estimate how much carbon has been captured by forest projects. We certify those
Mhm.
results and then we issue carbon credits from it. Of course, those carbon credits can be sold anywhere for cash, and it helps create new forests around the world. Specifically, my role is to oversee the whole validation process. And I can assume that it's more of a crypto audience listening here. So with us,
Yeah.
validation means a different type of thing. But with us, validation is actually validating data that's collected on the ground, namely the size of trees. And it's a manual
Mm.
process, and it's done only by a select group of third-party companies that validate or audit or certify that information. So you can think of it more of as an audit, and I am responsible for managing these third-party companies who are diligently assessing the information submitted on the ground. So it's kind of, we are dealing with a real world here. So things get a bit more messy and does require more manual process, but I'm sure we'll dive deep
Mm.
into it as we go along. Yeah, thank you very much for the question. And kind of to reiterate, what is the carbon market in very simple terms? I mean, it's a very broad market and it can
Mm.
encompass many things. In our case, we're dealing with forest projects. And
Mm.
forest projects get planted in different parts of the world. As the trees grow, they capture carbon. But you need somebody to essentially quantify that impact and then certify it, and then they can issue carbon credits which can be sold to companies or governments to offset their carbon footprint. So it's kind of a market that stimulates the creation of forests and restoring nature in different parts of the world. This is just to set the background of what
Mm.
we're doing. Specifically, we use the Near protocol as the backbone for our
Yeah.
platform. So Near, it's a fast, secure, very energy efficient blockchain, which is important for us.
Yes.
And it lets
Mhm.
us store all the project data. So, like tree growth
Mm.
and carbon measurements, everything's on chain in a very transparent and tamper-proof way. And one of the big benefits, kind of that we offer compared to the legacy approach, because we are kind of a Web3 project in the carbon space, one of the few ones that does it at such a scale, is that we offer unparalleled transparency thanks to that blockchain aspect. So with us, all the data for the forest projects is made publicly available. Even now, you can go on atlas.openforestprotocol.org. It's a public website where you see there's an interactive map, and you can see all the forest projects on board on our platform, 250 of them, and you can see where they're in the world, all the information that's collected from them. Why is that important? It's because the lifeblood, I think, of a well-functioning carbon market is very much trust. If there's no trust, nobody will pay for
Mm.
your carbon credits. You can kind of create them out of thin air, but nobody will buy them, nobody purchase
Exactly.
them. So by being that transparent, by being very thorough, we guarantee that
Mm.
trust. And blockchain, thanks to Near, help us achieve that. And overall, it builds trust across the whole process, and it guarantees a very vibrant marketplace. So we deal with forests, and the key to creating this system of real world assets is to credibly connect the real environmental assets, like forests, or more specifically, the carbon they store, with the digital economy. So you have to make that connection very strong, very tangible, and that can inspire trust for anyone, for any outside stakeholder. Because again, if there's no trust, as I said before, the whole thing collapses and the whole market breaks down. So it has to be reliable and credible. The way it works with us is, as I mentioned, we have about 250 projects around the world right now. They're constantly growing.
Mm.
And these projects are onboarded on our platform. Once they're onboarded, then data is collected by people on the ground on a regular basis. So once a year, they take measurements of trees in specific areas of the forest. And they also take photos,
Mhm.
and we've built an app for them to do so. Now, this data has to pass through our validators, the ones that I mentioned in the beginning. These are third-party certification companies who are environmental organizations, remote sensing companies, and their job is to inspect that information very thoroughly to make sure, if carbon credits are created, this is very much reflected in the real world. Again, we don't want to create carbon credits out of thin air. So that's their job, and the whole audit process is transparent, and all the
Mm.
reports at the end are made publicly available. And how does that help, the whole process? As I said, if we make the whole process much more transparent, much more accessible, then we can get many more projects on board. The legacy approach is very manual. It certainly doesn't use blockchain technology. And as a result, only large forest projects qualify to get carbon credits. The way we've built our solution is we allow small projects as small as zero point 0.3 hectares, so very small, to be onboarded. And that allows us to scale the creation of new forests around the world, because we create this virtuous cycle in which you are financially incentivized to create these new forests, because you can get money by selling carbon credit, which incentivizes even more planting of trees. And yeah, we very much hope that this virtuous cycle can scale even more, and we can get even more forests, and we can restore more of the land across the world.
Thank you.
So we have about 250 forest projects right now that equal 5,000 hectares, but we have many more projects, over 60 projects in the pipeline at this point, and they have close to 200,000 hectares in the pipeline. So goes beyond this year, but we think that by 2027 we can create 61 million uh, annual value from carbon credits. What's most exciting for this year, and this has been a long time in the making, we've been negotiating with a couple of governments. One of them, the ones that we are furthest along, is the government Pakistan. We also have Bhutan and now Kazakhstan, these are, especially in Kazakhstan and Pakistan, big countries who have ambitious reforestation initiatives. And we are already
Mm.
onboarding projects from Pakistan, and they're doing 10 billion trees. Obviously,
Wow.
not all of them will be
That's
onboarded on OFP, but we're starting with a 5,000-hectare project. And we hope to collaborate with other governments as well, which is a great way for them to restore their environment and also get the money to plant even more trees in the future. So that's probably the most exciting part. But we're also developing other verticals right now. So we're looking at mangroves. If you heard, that's a type of species which can capture a lot of carbon. We're looking at biodiversity measurements as well, so we can issue biodiversity carbon credits. So a lot of exciting developments just beyond onboarding more and more projects. And yeah, I'm kind of really excited for the year ahead. It will be kind of, 4 years in the making. It takes some time because this industry very much relies on reputation. So you kind of, when you're starting out, you're fighting for your reputation. You do everything right, but at some point there's a tipping point, and you see kind of the fruits of your labor, and it's a beautiful things to see.
Hey, how's everyone doing today? Thanks so much for having me up. I'm super excited about what Open Forest Protocol and Arkreen are doing for sustainability on chain. Very exciting stuff. Just wanted to double click a little bit for Rado here. I have a question for you regarding OFP's processes. How would you say, just in your own words, OFP's on chain attestation and methodologies, how they compare to kind of the traditional carbon market approach of just validating these carbon credits? I'm curious how you guys give maybe smaller methodologies the opportunity to kind of shine, and people who are maybe more small holders that don't have the huge amount of upstart capital, the ability to maybe bring some of these potential carbon assets on chain.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. We can go very deep into it, but essentially, as Ray alluded to, there's the legacy approach, which has their own methodologies, and a methodology is required It's a framework that's used to quantify the carbon credits. It just lays out the entire process of collecting data, verifying that data, and issuing carbon credits. The way we've done our methodology is to take the best practice of the existing legacy approach and then streamline it a bit, just remove all the unnecessary red tape, for lack of a better word. We want a process that leverages new technology, not just blockchain, but also remote sensing, while also still relying on data collected on the ground. And just, yeah, taking the most modern best practice of those methodologies and streamlining it so we can onboard many more projects, even small and medium-sized projects. The way we allow small and medium-sized projects to be onboarded is that data is collected by the project developers themselves. So we don't rely on another company to, fly over to Kenya, for example, to collect that data. That will make the process prohibitively expensive, and that's kind of the legacy approach. And that's why they don't onboard small and medium-sized projects. With us, is they self-report on the data. They collect that data through our app, and then we rely on those remote sensing companies and validators to essentially double check and verify that data. So that's how we have allowed these small projects to be onboarded on our platform. And if you're really interested about our methodology, there's a 70 plus page document. Maybe that's too much, but there's been a recent review by a third party company called Renoster. So you can Google Renoster and Open Forest Protocol. They've done a thorough review of our methodology, and they compared it to like the biggest standard of today, Vera. But yeah, it's a very hopefully answered most of what you asked. We can go really deep into it, but I think this will be sufficient. But yeah, Ray, let me know if you have like a follow-up or anything that you want to learn.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. That was super insightful and super excited to continue to follow and support what you guys are doing.
Thanks for your support. Yeah.